How pathetic can some people be?
I try to get like a corporate job, but you know what always messed me up was the interview part. I see a lot of corporate people here tonight. I try to be in the corporate world, but the interview always messed me up. Like one time, I was at a job interview, and the guy's giving me flack, tells me I'm not dressed appropriately, and I try to explain to him that my karate class ran late, and I didn't have time to change. Plus, I'd always say the wrong thing at job interviews, too. Like, for example, here's something you should never say at a job interview. Could I have my resume back? It's my only copy. Something you should never say. There's another thing you should never say at a job interview. Now, about the medical benefits, how's the psychiatric coverage? Which is never good anyway. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's always terrible. I worked at an ice cream parlor one summer, and that's a stressful job. You wouldn't think it, but the customers are very demanding. And once in a while, I got to admit, I would snap on the customers. I hate to say it. But one time, like, for example, after a long, hard day at the ice cream parlor, woman comes in, she asks me, what do you recommend? I said, what do I recommend? Ben & Jerry's down the street. They get the hell out of here. If you've ever worked in a store, too, you've noticed that you'll say something rude to a customer, they always say the same thing, don't they? They're always like, well, I'm not coming back here again. You just lost a customer. I'd be like, no, I didn't lose a customer. The store lost a customer. I gained a break. What do you think of that? Now get the hell out of here.
Dumbass of the day. 93.3 KZOZ.
Man in South Carolina is being offered a job at the Waffle House. Because when he went into the Waffle House, he stood around for, like, you would never have done this. He waited around for like 10 minutes waiting to be sat down, and he's looking around. He's like, where is everybody in this joint? This happened at 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday night. So does that mean it's Thursday night, Friday morning, or Friday morning, or Saturday morning through Friday night? I don't know.
This would have been you, by the way, back in your 20s. Not the guy walking into the Waffle House, but the chef that was taking a nap. I read this story. So,
yeah. So the guy walks in and he's like, hello. I'd like to be seated, please. Then he realizes that the chef is in the back taking a snooze, and he didn't want to wake him up.
Hey, it was nap time, 3 a.m.
He said, nah, I guess I'll just go in there and make my own sandwich. So he went back there and he jumped behind the grill, prepared himself up a double Texas bacon cheese steak melt, which sounds amazing. I want to try the double Texas bacon cheesesteak melt. Toot sweet.
And he wasn't arrested for doing this?
Get me on the fastest plane to the Waffle House. No, he wasn't arrested for this. In fact, he even cleaned the grill when he was done. And in a statement, Waffle House says that the sleeping employee was suspended for a week, but they commended Bowen on his cooking skills, and they have now since offered him a job. No word on whether or not he's going to take that job.
Well, God, if he probably has worked in some capacity in a kitchen before. I would think if he goes back there, he finds everything. He knows how to turn on the grill, cook, and then clean it.
How deep of a sleep did that chef have to be into? Not only, I mean, think of all the factors that had to come into play. And why is the Waffle House being ran by one person? Like, how come, where's the cashier? Where's the
waitress?
The waitress.
Somebody.
I mean, the chef he doesn't want that job. If I was Alex Bowen, I would not be accepting that job. I'd be like, no, you make people work by themselves, dude. I don't want to work here.
Last year, I was down in Santa Barbara, staying down there, and I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was starving. And I got in the shower. I went down to a Denny's, drove around.
Did a little
on State Street, way up on State Street.
Moons over my hammy action?
And I did. Well, no, I did the other one. What's it called? The Grand Slamwich.
Oh, okay.
It's even better.
What's on the deli dinger?
I don't know. I've never had the deli dinger.
Which, if you're drunk at 3 o'clock in the morning at a Denny's, you just call it the Dillinger, because that's what it looks like on the menu.
I know what you're talking about. I thought it was the Dillinger.
I once ordered the Dillinger, and everybody at the table looked at me, and they're like, "What?" And the waiter's like, "What do you?" The Dillinger, right there. It says Dillinger.
That's the deli dinger.
And they're like, "Oh no, you mean the deli dinger?" I was like, "Oh yeah, sure."
Anyways, I was sober, but I was starving, so I went down there. I got the Grand Slamwich breakfast, and it's interesting, like, who's working. There's one cook, one waitress. That's what happens at 3:30 in the morning when you go to a place like this. And there was 2 guys, loud as hell. They I could hear everything they were saying. They were big fat guys, and they were bragging about how they just tore up the club, and they were DJs that were DJing at a club, and then it was, the club was closed, so then they were
That's
there
the
eating.
sad existence of a DJ right
Yeah,
there.
it really was.
3 o'clock in the morning,
It
Denny's
really
meal.
was. These are big dudes. And I was like, what are you guys, the fat boys? The DJ fat boys?
See, that's what it is. Like, everybody thinks that that's a glamorous life. Like, everybody's running around like Diplo. No, you're not Diplo. For every Diplo, there's like 1,000.
Diplo starts at 3 o'clock in the morning, all right?
Guys at Denny's in Santa Barbara, okay?
He's at real clubs.
State Street.
Yeah, that start at 3 o'clock in the morning and go till 8 o'clock in the morning. Not shutting down at 3.
Congratulations to the chef who now has a week off.
I wonder where he was sleeping. Where's a comfortable place to sleep in?
Why do you even bother suspending him for, like, why not just
sleep on the bread?
termination? Like, why don't you fire him?
Because nobody wants to be a chef overnight at a Waffle House. Nobody wants to work at 3 o'clock. Like, okay, what time do you start? Midnight to 7 a.m.
Let's see. You made national news headlines by falling asleep and somebody coming in and preparing their own meal. We're going to suspend you for a week. Because you're such a valued employee. Congratulations, Waffle House and chef. You're Jeff and Jeremy's.
Dumbass of the day.
If you were to fall asleep at your job, how would you be disciplined for it, do you think? I remember I was not disciplined when I got caught falling asleep on the job.
What do you mean? You got caught when you were sleeping at the rental car place?
Yeah, it was a total situation like what happened with the Waffle House guy.
Oh, somebody came in and rented themselves a car?
No. It was a parking lot / rental car place. So our main business was the parking lot. And it was one of these off-airport parking lot places. And I remember a kid, I was sleeping on the floor behind the desk in the back, and a kid standing over me, he was probably about 12 years old, and he says, here he is, Daddy. Is he dead? And I
don't know, son. Pee on him and find out.
And I looked up and I was like, oh, nope, I'm not dead. I'm just sleeping. I said, hey, how's it going? And they told my boss.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they told my boss. And
were they cool with you at the time?
Days later, when they came back, and I went in to work that night, and then she goes, I got an interesting comment on you the other day. I was like, oh, what's that? And she says, remember a little boy standing over you, and you were sleeping on the ground? I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
What are you going to do? What are you going to lie? No.
I was like 19 at the time. And she said, don't do it again. And that's it. And she was just disappointed. And that was it. That was the only, and I did it after that.
You did it all the time. Then you would go sleep in vans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The shuttle bus.
I would just lock up the office and act like we were closed so people would drive away.
Oh, that's even better. How long did you do this for before you got caught?
I mean, it was like immediately. I mean, I was working graveyards. You're not used to working that shift.
Right.
I was on Saturday morning, early at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to stop by. I got that little indicator on my dash that said my tire pressure was low. And first time I've ever seen this indicator. So I head off to Anaheim because we were going down to Disneyland for the weekend. I'm getting in the car. We surprised our daughter and all that stuff. Everything's going good. It's a good trip. And then we get to Avila Beach and the yellow light comes on the dash. And I'm like, crap.
Oh, you got the ding.
And I'm like, hey, he said to my wife, look up in the manual, see what that means. And luckily, it was just the tire pressure. It was going low because those little icons you have never.
Yeah, it's like a little parentheses with a squiggly line underneath it.
Yeah,
I've seen that before.
The exclamation mark.
Yeah,
and it's like that doesn't say anything. Show a tire, okay? Don't show me parentheses exclamation mark.
Well, how many screens
water.
do you have? I've seen your radio, and it gives you every little thing about your gas mileage.
I know.
How about just say low tire pressure?
Right, like give it to me in English, or give it words and icon, okay? Not this parentheses exclamation mark squiggly line. I was thinking it's like overheating or something. Who knows what it is? So anyways, we look it up and then we find out, okay, that it's actually the tire pressure. So I pull over at the Shell station at Spyglass, and $1.50 in quarters to access the air.
Yeah. And you're like, who carries $1.50 in quarters on them?
The place is closed. It's not even open.
Yeah.
Okay. It's 3:00 in the morning. The gas station's not open.
Well, self-service if you have $1.50 in quarters, right?
Right.
But do you have $1.50 in quarters?
No.
Of course
Who has
not.
$1.50 in quarters? I live in downtown San Luis Obispo. I have to use my quarters for parking, and they're all used up at all times, okay? So then I'm like, crap, I guess I'll get on the freeway and go to the next exit. And so I go to the Chevron there on 5 Cities Drive, where it's your favorite Chevron in the world because it's Chevron / Jack in the Box.
Yes, I know that one very well. I'm a frequenter there.
You're a frequenter?
I frequently, I frequently go there. Has a car wash.
And
Whenever I need things from the
I
convenience
can't find
store.
the air because it's tucked way back behind the vacuum cleaners because there's a car wash there. And so I go inside, and the guy that's working, he's got rap blaring at the top of the speakers. I'm like, hey, hello, how's it going? He's like, oh, hey, man, what's up? I'm like, yeah, can you tell me where your air is for the tires? He's like, what's that? I'm like, the air for your tires. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's over by the vacuum cleaners. I'm like, okay, thanks a lot. But, I mean, he has to have that music blaring to keep him up and ready and going.
Right.
Because it's 3:00 in the morning. Our bodies tell us that we should be sleeping at that point.
It's like when you're driving and you get tired and it's in the middle of the night. What do? You crank the radio, you roll down all the windows, and you just shake your face.
Yeah.
I'm awake.
That's what this guy was doing. And probably sitting there just incessantly downing Rockstar.
It's funny because when the only time I get this sleepy is when I'm driving late at night. And when I get tired, I've now said, you know what, I'm going to just pull over. I'm going to try to take a 5-minute nap, and it'll usually bring me out of it. And so, but then, you wake up at 2 hours later and you're like, oh my God, and then your phone is beeping and because your wife is worried that you drove into a ditch. And so that doesn't always work. So that's probably what happened to this guy that was at the Waffle House. He probably thought he was just going to get a little shut eye for 5-10 minutes. And next thing you know, the guy comes in, makes himself breakfast, cleans up the whole place, leaves, and you're suspended. Greg, what would happen to you if you got caught sleeping on the job?
If I got caught sleeping on a job, I'd probably die or kill someone. I'm a trucker.
Yeah, you can't do that. Okay, so like when
this happens sometimes in some situations with truck drivers.
What happens when you get tired? What do you do? Like, what's your trick?
I've actually found the perfect thing. I found that coffee doesn't even work for me anymore because I'm a coffee drinker, and sometimes it's just like hot chocolate. I found that chewing sunflower seeds is the best way to keep myself awake. Because
it requires some level of concentration, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that makes a world of sense, actually, because... So remember that if you're traveling for the holidays and you have to, do long hours or whatever you're traveling.
That's always when I choose sunflower seeds.
The only time is when you're driving long trips.
I get a styrofoam cup or a paper cup and just go to town.
What's the inside of your mouth like?
It's got to be rough.
Your dentist like you?
It's fine. It's fine.
That's all right. Because when I used to chew tobacco, I would try to quit with sunflower seeds all the time, and the sunflower seeds were brutal on the inside of my mouth.
After a while,
I mean,
really chafes it up,
dude.
You probably got some scar tissue in there, right, Greg? Yeah.
Well, no, I'm wondering if it's because of the fact that you chew tobacco that made your mouth a little more sensitive.
Probably. I'm sure it had something to do with it.
All right, thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Yesterday we had our annual open enrollment meeting.
It was the big. Insurance meeting, yes.
You were sitting right across from me at the insurance meeting.
Yes, I was.
And I'm surprised you didn't notice this, but I fell asleep for probably 3 to 4 seconds during that meeting.
Oh, you did? No,
yes.
I didn't see it.
I did one of those things where I fall asleep.
We were on a camera.
I know. I fell asleep, and then my head popped up, and then that's what told me not to do it again was the fact that we were on a camera and that somebody in some healthcare office was watching me nod off while they were talking.
It was a big webinar, so they, instead of traveling to all these different offices, now you could just do it one, and oh my gosh, and it was just it worked, but yeah, we had no idea that we were on camera until I realized the little green light on the computer at the top next to the camera means the camera's on.
Yeah,
and then. So when you showed me that we were on camera, and you're like, yeah, look you're right there. And was that before or after you fell asleep?
It was before. So
then you fell asleep after
Then
that.
I fell asleep, yeah. But, oh, well. whatever.
Steve says, hey, 10 to 20 minute nap could only improve your focus and your activity level.
I'm all about it. And listen, Google, and I use them as the example because that's the only place I know that allows you to take a nap. Like when you're tired at Google, with people that work at Google and they're tired, they get to go take a nap. They take a nap for 10, 20 minutes. They come back and they're rejuvenated. I love the 10 to 20 minute nap. It makes you feel like you are like, you've gotten a full night of sleep. You're ready to take on the day after the
Patrick's
10 to 20
been holding
minute nap.
on. We're talking about what happened to you when you got caught sleeping on the job. Go ahead, man.
Well, back in college, I used to work at an AM/PM, and I had the swing shift on weekends. So I would party, and then I would go to work. I'd have to report to work. I think it was like 10 o'clock at night, and I'd have to work till 6 a.m. because it was 24 hours. Well, sometimes I was so drunk that I would go into the cooler, in the back cooler, and I would just sit there and kind of fall asleep. We had a sort of a doorbell every time somebody walked through, and it would wake me up. Well, one time I fell asleep and I didn't wake up, and there were customers waiting there. So after that, I started putting a sign on the door, locking it and saying closed due to breakage. I'd go in there and just pass out for about 3 or 4 hours. Mm-hmm. And then one night, I guess there were police and fire outside trying to figure out what was going on. My boss showed up. He unlocked the doors. They came in. They found me passed out in the back cooler, and that was my last day of working there.
Probably reeked of booze a little bit. Oh, that's a good story. Thanks, Pat.
All right.
God, how embarrassing. You're just like, all right, it's just AM/PM.
The news shows up.
All the cheap chicken sandwiches that are 49 cents are gone. 543-3693 to chime in.
I always admired those people. I knew a few people that would work like a late shift in college, but then you'd see them at a party, be like, so you said you had to work tonight. You're like, oh, yeah, I don't have to be there till 11, though. They're just like downing beer.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, cool.
I would think that would be the worst. I would rather drink after I get off work, but...
What, at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
That's what you used to do, wasn't it?
I'd have a beer with my Taco Bell. Back when Taco Bell used to do.
Well, when I first met you, you would work overnights, and then you would come into the radio show because the only slot they gave us was 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted it. And God only knew that the rest of our life we'd be working at 6 a.m.
Because nobody ever wanted it.
Right. So, yeah, and you always used to smell of booze, and I used to, God, how much do you drink?
The reason why is because I would come in on Friday mornings, and my nights off were Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with the graveyard shift, which were awesome because you got a 3-day weekend every time because I work 4/10s.
I got you.
I would work 4/10s. God, I'd love to work 4/10s. Is there any way we can get the 4/10?
We're close. I mean, I think we...
What do you mean we're close? We're not close in our lifetime, though.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean, there's so many people that are working 4/10s now.
Not us. We're not working 4/10s because we're Monday through
What do you
Friday.
want, Monday or Friday off?
I'll take either or.
Yeah,
I would even take Wednesday.
No. It's got to be you want 3 days together. That would be so great. I think I'd like to do Monday.
Here's the problem with 3 days together. Take it from somebody who used to have 3 days together. When you have 3 days together, you treat every weekend like it's a vacation.
And you just go.
And you spend money like a banshee, you know? Because you're like, oh, yeah, I got a 3-day weekend every weekend. Whereas if we got like a Wednesday off, it would be nice because you would get everything done during the middle of the week that you don't want to do on the weekends, and then give me the Saturday, and the Sunday off. You know, I'd be okay with that. Wednesday or even Tuesday for that matter. I don't care.
I don't know. We're older now. I don't think you would spend as much money as you think you would, but you'd have so much more time.
That's true.
You could, but you know what? Would happen is you would have to go travel to see your relatives, which live 9 hours away, much more often because you have that extra day.
Yeah, they would say, oh, well, you got an extra day now. And we're like, oh crap.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's Wednesday, we're like, oh, I only got one day Wednesday. So you need that excuse. You need that buffer, Jeremy.